Hi there, Stampers. This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Welcome to today's live. I'm sorry I was not able to make it on Thursday. I did have a procedure done and I had to go under a general for it. And apparently I aspirated and they had to suction me. And that's why my throat sounds all goofy. They almost tried to keep me overnight, but I got out of that part, thankfully. But I am back and we are crafting, and I am doing a card that came out by request. Everybody was saying, have you seen this cross fold card? And so I hadn't. And so I went looking and I actually found two different types. So I'm doing the shutter card version this time. And then next time I'm going to do one that's actually a column post in the middle. So I don't know. I saw Helene said she tried it this weekend. Maybe she tried the post version or maybe she tried this shutter card version, but we're going to cover both. And today we're doing the shutter card version. So I am anxious to show you how it's done. So let's get down to my desk. Now this one's a little fancier, so it has extra layers behind it. You don't have to put the extra layer behind it if you don't want to, because it does involve an 1/8 of an inch dimensions. So some people try to avoid that. And then I'm using the background. Other people were doing it with just standard designer series papers, and I didn't want to copy exactly the way a couple other people had done it, although they were gorgeous. I wanted to kind of make it my own. And so I'm using the Thoughtful Journey because I thought this looked like a perfect backdrop for the cross. So we're going to be cutting this up, and then I have a whole bunch of little layers. As I said, it has layers front and back. So, and then we have our base. And the one thing about the base is this right now is 8.5 by 5.5. And we actually want to trim a little bit of this off. We want it to be 8 3/8, which is just a hair shave off the end. We're going to cut off 1/8 of an inch. And I have the feeling that has something to do with the way it like folds up and goes into the envelope. So again, if it didn't fit in the envelope, maybe that's what you missed, was that cutting off that little 1/8 of an inch. As far as I know, that is important. So you need to do that. And then I have all these little pieces, as I said. Once we do our scoring, then we will have these pieces, which are 2 by 5 3/8. And I have 4 of them because they're going to go on either side. And then they're also go on either side on the back. So those will go back there. Then I have some more. I have, let's see, excuse me. Let's see, that's going to be my middle one. So up, and I'm going to need to trim this down a little bit. Okay, so for the back, I have the white. This one is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And then this is the cross that way. Get all my pieces straight. This is 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 for either side. And then down here I have 1 1/4 by 2 5/8. So there's 2 of those. For the cross, we have the part going this way. Our gorgeous grape, our base down here is 4 by 1 1/4. And this is 3 7/8 by 1 1/8. Okay, then I need 1 1/4 by 5 3/8. And then I need 1 1/8 by 5 1/4. Let's see if this is the 5 3/8. Okay, so I made a mistake here. I'm going to need to increase this a little bit. Okay, so Okay, so let me go over this again so we have this straight. So my outside piece, the fresh freesia underneath, is going to be 5.5 by 8 3/8 because we shaved that little bit off the one side. Then we have our panels over here. I have 4 of them that are 2" by 5 3/8. We're going to have left and right, and then front and back. Then also for the gorgeous grape, for our cross, we have 1 1/4 by 4 and 1 1/4 by 5 3/8. Then for these little pieces down here, I have 1 1/4 by 2 5/8, and these are 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. Okay, then we're going to go with our basic white, which is going to go on the back for our writing. This is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. For our cross, I have some designer series paper that is 1 1/8 by 5 1/4 and 1 1/8 by 3 3/7/8. Okay, and then I cut this down. It was a 6 by 6, and I just cut it down to 5 1/4. And I'm going to show you how I cut this piece. Okay, so this is kind of what we need to get started. Now we want to do our scoring. And so I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to use this scoring board because I want to make sure I'm accurate. And maybe it's just me, but whenever I try to do it in the trimmer, I have this really good chance of not being exact. And when I use the Simply Scored, I have to be exact because it runs in a little groove. So I can't like slide one way or the other without really knowing that I went out of bounds. So I'm going to flush it up into the corner as hard as I can up here. And then I'm going to score at 2 1/8, 3 1/2, 4 7/8, and then 6 1/4. Okay. And then I'm going to turn this. And this is where it's going to come in a little funny because maybe we should do this part on the trimmer because I'm going to need to start in here for our cuts. And I want to make sure that we're doing that correctly. So I want the ruler that's on our trimmer. Oops. Okay. Okay, so I'm making sure my track is really clean. I say that all the time, but almost every time I use it, I can pull a little lint out of there. I'm going to go at 1 3/8 of an inch. So it's going to be just before the 1 1/2. And then I want to cut between this layer or this score line and this score line. So I'm going to be very careful trying to just stay within that. Then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do the same thing up here in that I want to cut between those two. Okay, so a cut here and a cut there between our score lines. Then I'm going to move this over to 2 3/4. And I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to do that little cut from score line to score line. And then we've almost got our cross. Okay, what I need to do now is I need to loosen this. So now I want to turn it and I want to put that score line into my trimmer. And then I want to cut from there to there. So see how this pops it up? That's what I want to do. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing over here. And we're cutting there. Okay, so there we've popped out our cross. All right, so this one and this one are a valley folds. Okay, and then these two here are going to be mountain folds. Okay, so now we've got our base. Now we're basically decorating. So have I lost anybody yet? Okay, is there any questions about what I've done so far? Okay. Thank you to those who are liking and sharing. That is how you get entered into the prize patrol drawing, which means that somebody today will get this card in the mail. So make sure that you comment and like and share the video so that I can enter you into that drawing. And then to be sure that you go and claim your prize, because I have quite a few envelopes over here of people who have not claimed their prize. So I have February 13th was Becky Drake. I have Carrie McKillen for February 17th. Somebody, Smiley J, 53, from February 20th. And then the two that I have scrolling across the top now. So I'm ready to mail them as soon as I have addresses. So go to my blog, queenbeecreations.net, and then up there in the address bar, you want to do /prize patrol and enter in your address so I know where to mail it to. I can't mail it if I don't have your address. So let me turn that off. And we'll get back to our card. Okay, let's just very easily, we know we can just put on all of our gorgeous grape layers, right? There's no mystery there. And it'll get pieces off my desk, which is always a good sign. I get a lot less confused if I can just get lots of little pieces out of my way. And then I can think about what I have left. Okay, so I know this is a lot of pieces and it has a tendency to overwhelm people. But that would be my tip, is to go and do everything that's easy so that, you know, the card's like part way together. You're almost done. And then you just got to figure out our designer series paper layers. And you can think a little clearer if all of this is done. Okay, I am using Stampin' Seal. You may want to use liquid glue because these are little teeny tiny 1/8 inch borders. And so some people find it easier to have that wiggle time to be able to wiggle it around and make sure all your borders are even before it goes ahead and grabs hold. I didn't stamp anything on this. If you wanted to put a sentiment on this, definitely do that before you adhere. Because if you were to make a mistake, then you can flip this piece of cardstock over and try on the other side. Because we're all trying to save cardstock now, right? Because have you seen that the price of cardstock is going to go up with our new annual catalog? I don't mean to depress anybody, but it's right now we get 24 sheets of colored cardstock for $11.50. They're going to go up to $14, which sounds like a big jump, but they're having trouble with their manufacturer. I guess manufacturers have decided that they make more money making toilet paper and paper towels, especially since COVID. And so it's hard to find paper mills willing to do the high quality cardstock that ours demands. And so they've had to move manufacturer. It costs them extra, so it's going to cost us extra. But I've also done some comparisons and looked at what some of the other, high-end papers, Gina K and, all of those, and they get 10 sheets in a pack for like $6.95. So comparatively speaking, ours is still a little bit cheaper, which I don't know, I have mixed feelings about. I mean, I'm glad we're still cheaper, but I'm disappointed prices are going up, but aren't we all? Nobody wants to pay $9 for a dozen eggs, right? Just seems to be the world we're living in. So if you have cardstock needs, please go shop for them now before prices go up. They're also going to do away with the 8.5 by 11 thick basic white. Last catalog, they did away with the very vanilla in the thick. This year, they're doing the basic white. They will still have it available in 12 by 12. But if you want to be doing card bases and you prefer the 8.5 by 11, because we cut in half, score in half, and get 2 bases out of one, then you might want to do that. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of extra scrap, which I guess in white isn't such a huge deal because we do use white scraps all the time for all sorts of things. But just a heads up, if you want to go shop all the new product that they put out there, which has been pretty exciting lately. There's some new online exclusives and some new kits that came out. You'll want to go check those out. To write on the card, we're going to write back here. Gian was asking about that. Okay, so we have our cross, and we could go ahead and stick that on there. It's not going to mess up the rest of what we got going on here. But I'm going to leave it off so we can focus on the designer series paper, because what we want to do is we want to cut this up to fit in there, and I want to continue my design. So I know that they're all going to be, overall, they're all going to be 5 1/4. So I know I just want width now. So I'm going to start out here, and these are going to be 1 7/8 for this one. So I'm going to start there. That's just one little tick underneath the 2. Okay, then my next area is going to be this, these right here. And those are, 1 1/8. So again, one little tick over the 1, and I need 2 of those. Okay, and then I'm going to need 2 1/8 over here, or 1 7/8 over here. And you'll notice I'm a little bit shy, which is a total bummer because it means I need to use an extra sheet. But I'm kind of okay with that because we're going to need an extra sheet anyway to get the back side. But I want to show you that we want to cut from the opposite side this time. Excuse me. My throat's just very irritated from the suction. It sounds like I'm sick, but I'm really not. Okay, so 5 1/4. Okay, so this time I want this side. So I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to do 1 7/8. Right? Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much going to match up. There's a little sliver in the middle that's extra, but we're not going to be able to tell. Then I need the one for the back, so I'm going to do another one at 1 7/8. And this one, because it's on the back, doesn't matter which side you use. It's just going to go on the back, so not a big deal. Okay, we know these were going to go down direct, but these two. Okay, now this, the top and the middle, they're fairly generic, but if there was more design further up, this would come in handy to know that what you want to do is cut 2 1/2 off the bottom. Okay, those are going to be the bottom pieces that are going to continue our design on the bottom. But then we're going to flip this around, and the other ones are going to be at the top because the cross is going to go through the middle. So up here, I want these to be 1 1/8 by 1 1/8. Okay. So I don't need these pieces in the middle. These are going to throw away, but I want you to see how the pattern flows, okay? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put those two, these two little ones, they're going to go up here. Again, you may choose to use liquid glue. Choice is yours. Okay, we're not going to use the middle ones. And we're going to go down to the bottom. Okay, so can you see how that pattern, the greenery kind of flows across and the sky kind of flows together? I love the way it does that. That's one of my favorite things about this designer series paper, is that it's so beautiful that it's like that's all you need for the design. It's like practically done for you. Lately, I've been doing quite a few cards where the designer series paper is like kind of all I needed to do. And then I was actually, the other day, I was playing around with some of the Utterly Adorable. And there's that one big sheet in there where it's got great big huge designs. And I wasn't sure what to do with them because I wasn't going to do a scrapbook page with otters. But what I was able to do is cut it, the 12 by 12 up. And I was able to pull out these various little scenes and just use the designer series paper as my focal point. So I was able to make an entire set of cards and like never even bought the stamp set. And of course, as always with Stampin' Up! Designer series paper, because we have an option, there's two different sides to the paper. So sometimes it's hard to decide which one you want to use and which one you want to cover up because they're both so gorgeous. Okay, so there's our cross. Now I just want a little bit of a focal point in the middle. And this is where I wish I had bought a religious Easter set. I didn't this year because I have one that's retired that I absolutely love and I use all the time. But I can't use a retired on this one. So I was kind of thinking I wish I had, palm fronds or maybe even some little flowers. But I'm going to go with a focal point that is when I die cut it, where did I put it? A gorgeous grape circle that was die cut using the stylish shapes for that little bit of stitching. And then we're going to punch out the white, but let's go ahead and stamp that first. Geesh, and I don't know where I put that circle. I know I die cut it. It was in my pile. Here we go. Okay, so I have that one here. And then I'm going to ink this up in Gorgeous Grape ink. And then being a circle, I don't have to fussy too much about, what direction I am, because we can just spin this. And then you can choose to either pop it up on dimensionals or go flat. I went flat just because there's some extra thickness in the card once we get this all together. This is the way it's supposed to be mailed. To me, I think that's going to make a lot of extra postage. So it may be that I would mail it this way because it would flatten it out and make it easier to mail. They would just have to know to pop it up when they got there. And I mean, I think it's pretty intuitive. I mean, I think if I got this in the mail like this, I would know, right? That just kind of pops up. Anyway, we're going to put the circle down first. So let's go ahead and put some adhesive. And I'm trying to just center this overall. Uh-oh. And I just made a little boo-boo here. So I can either turn that over and stamp on the other side since it's not adhered yet, or I can decide that the little embellishment would be enough to cover that up, which it could be. But apparently I've recently re-inked this pad and it's nice and juicy. So okay. Now I just have to be really careful putting it on. I don't smear that again because and I like, this is the 2 3/8 inch hole punch with the Stylish Shapes dies. Now I could have used 2 Stylish Shapes and layered them one on top of each other. They just would have had a little bit bigger border. And because I had the little border here, I wanted the little border here. Does that make sense? And then, as I said, you can choose to embellish it up if you happen to have palm fronds, or maybe some little flowers would be cute. Put those on with glue dots and then maybe and these flowers are from, let's see, Country Flowers is the bundle. And I didn't even pick these out specifically. I just kind of went through my little pile of all of my dies, trying to decide which flowers or leaves or something would work on here. And so I just stumbled across these. It doesn't mean you need to have these. It just means you need to look through your stash and see what you have in the way of little small flowers. As I'm sure there are lots of different options that would work in there. I like that it had the little hole in the middle because then I can come in with my iridescent pearl basic jewels. And I'm doing the take your pick tool because this is a great way to add little embellishments the easy way. And there we go. There is today's card. So there's one with flowers and here's one without. And as I said, the back side is where you would write your message over here. Oh, good. Jeanne says that she heard that they got feedback and they're keeping the thick basic white. That is fabulous news. I know myself and a lot of other leaders went in there and really complained and said that's one of our basics. They shouldn't do away with basics. They had something about we can only have so many SKU numbers, and I don't know what the deal was, but I'm willing to give up a SKU number for something else other than basic white cardstock. That's just silly. So keeping thick basic white was a good decision on their part, and I'm very happy about that. I haven't been on the Stampin' Up website much today because my son's coming to visit. I haven't seen him in person since before COVID, so I am very excited about that. He's on his way from Henderson, Nevada, so he has like almost an 8-hour drive, and he should be here around 5. So 2 more hours, I get to hug my son. I'm super happy about that. So does anybody have any questions? Hopefully you loved today's card, and you come back on Thursday when we go back to our Stamping Made Simple series, doing some easier cards that still pack a wow. So thank you so much, and I will see you back here on Thursday. Thank you so much. Bye.